coming out of a 10-year marriage into the dating world where texting is now a part of the dynamic was definitely something I had to get used to, because back when I met my ex-husband, MySpace was a thing. I believe I had a BlackBerry at the time, and we were just getting out of whatever the T9 texting is, where you had to like press the number 3 times to get a text. So coming into the dating world where everybody has their phone attached to their hand and texting is a part of the dynamic and all of the meaning that you can place on somebody's attention through text. Woo! That's fun to navigate. So let's talk about it. And hey, if we haven't met before, my name's Tara, and I'm on a mission to create a self-aware army because it's lonely in these self-aware streets. It really is. So texting, this is a beautiful opportunity. If you crave the texting, and crave is kind of a weird word. That means that we have a lot of expectations and dependency on it. I would flip that script and say, I desire check-ins, right? And you determining what's reasonable when you're not in a triggered state. So as somebody who is, I am fearful, avoidant, disorganized attachment, whatever you want to call it, but I lean towards anxious. So I am very aware, hypervigilant of pattern changes in people. It makes me a really effective coach because I can identify patterns of behavior and tell you where the root cause of that came from and help you heal it. But in relationships, I also pick up and I'm very sensitive to behavior changes. So if somebody is texting me in the mornings and then when I wake up and there's not a text there, my brain goes into, what does it mean? What does it mean? Right? And we have negativity bias in our brains because our brains are created to survive, which means that we're going to default to the worst case scenario of whatever our brain needs to, figure out in that moment that has us feeling pretty shitty. Because here's how the brain works. Usually we have a thought that comes into our head based on some sort of external stimuli, like not getting a text message when you were expecting one, or by him taking forever to respond, even though he has his phone right in his hands. Okay, so a thought enters our head. We have like 60,000 thoughts that run through our brain every single day. They are usually stimulated by something in the environment and our subconscious working together to create a conscious thought. That conscious thought, if we choose to put meaning on it and we choose to let it sit in our head, will then trigger a part of your brain in the back called the amygdala. That then releases a bunch of hormones into your body that then we experience as feelings, right? It is our felt experience in the body. That feeling is because of hormones that have been dumped from the brain. So whether it's constricting, you're feeling anxiety, your heart starts racing, you're having trouble breathing, or you feel happiness and joy, whatever. Okay. It's all hormones being dumped in your body. So my suggestion to you is, first and foremost, beautiful opportunity for you to communicate very early on in dating someone, rewarding them and enforcing the positivity of the things that you like, right? So if he texts you every morning, you say, God, I just love it when you text me. Like when you text me in the morning, it just makes my day start off so much better, right? You're communicating and reinforcing the things that you do like, because a normal, healthy person that's interested in you and wants to build something with you wants to do the things that you like. So that's first and foremost for you to get your satisfaction and nervous system desires met within reason. Right? And this is where it's got the little asterisks of, but we need to be responsible for our own emotions as well. And what that means is, if on a day there is a pattern change, let's just say we'll keep with the text in the morning example. You don't have a text to wake up to. Now, sure, your brain is going to go in and fill in survival mode thinking. Things are ending. He's creating space. He's mad at me. He forgot about me. Like, what the heck? You don't necessarily know because you haven't checked the story, but your brain is going to make up all sorts of stories because now you're starting to get anxious, right? Now you're starting to get nervous. This is where your own process for regulating your nervous system is going to come into play, so you don't go sabotage and destroy somebody who actually had a very logical reason or a misunderstanding or just simply forgot, because that happens, where you don't go make meaning out of it that it actually destroys a fairly healthy connection otherwise. Because I know that there's a lot of men out there. I know some amazing men who would make amazing partners, and they really horribly suck at texting. So texting isn't necessarily the best gauge for somebody's interest. And then I have people who text really well that don't make good partners either. So I want you to pause when you notice that spiral is happening in your brain, that you're making meaning out of a thought before you've checked what the story actually is. Okay. And that is a very tough discipline to get used to, but it will help you in the long run. So for example, you wake up, there's no text, and your brain thinks he's not interested anymore. Clearly he's not interested, right? Because he's texted me every day for the last 60 days. And today I wake up and there's no text. Like, was it something I said? And then you start like replaying every conversation you had, like the last thing you said to him, like what could he possibly be mad about? And was he mad about that thing? But like, I thought we agreed to, right? You start spinning. You've got to learn to stop and pause before all of those thoughts start really pouring a bunch of hormones where you actually lose control of your ability to react and regulate in a healthy way. Right. And so the way that I do that is through breath work. There is a 5-minute free breath work download in my LinkedIn profile. That is what I use to start to regulate my nervous system. So then I can access logic and ask them a question to verify the story or get clarity on why something they did ended up upsetting me, or, hey, I just want to check this story. So doing that 5-minute breathwork practice will help to bring down the emotion. It will inform your body you're safe so that you don't have to try and figure out why you don't feel safe. You just feel safe in your body. And then you can access logic, because when your amygdala is dumping a bunch of hormones, your logic is actually turned off. Right? Those two parts of your brain, your prefrontal cortex and your amygdala, don't play well together. So we've got to get the emotion to come down and then seek out your partner and check in for clarification. And what that looks like for me is I will go, hey, I've got a little bit of a vulnerable share. When I didn't see your text message come through this morning, I started making meaning out of that. And I just wanted to check the story in my head before I go kind of deciding how I want to respond. But like, why didn't you text me? Like, I don't understand, because you text me every day. Is everything okay? Right? And that can be really vulnerable, which is why I only date people who are self-aware, so they don't take personal meaning of it or make me feel bad for that communication. So that is me taking responsibility for my emotional state and checking a story and a narrative before I start making meaning out of something that could have been perfectly innocent, a oversight, a miscommunication, or maybe he didn't understand how important it was for me in feeling safe in this relationship, or maybe it opens up more conversation of why I'm using and placing so much meaning on a text message in a relationship that otherwise is amazing. So I hope that helps give you some insight and some tools. Go download that free 5-minute breathwork download. Test it out whenever your nervous system is starting to feel anxious, overwhelmed. If you start to feel like you're shutting down, it's a quick, easy tool for your emotions to come down so you can start to access logic and see if there's actually something that you need to logically problem solve for.